Hi Cancer, how are you? I hope that you are doing so well. Welcome, my name is Nina, or Sinfulpluto, however way you want to call me. And today we're going to be doing your February 2020 predictions. This is going to apply to Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. All right, before I get into it, I just want to say, please use your discernment and critical thinking when watching this video. This is a general reading, so it's not going to apply to everyone. Take this all with a grain of salt, okay? Don't take it all so seriously. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and most of all, enjoy yourself, all right? So let's just go ahead and get into it. I pulled 2 oracle cards for you, Cancer, that I want to read, or not read, but talk about really quick before we get into the tarot. So let's just go ahead and get started. 2 cards actually fell out for you. Normally I only pull 1, but 2 fell out, so whatever. I guess you're fucking special. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So I have Fall Into My Arms, Surrender, Holding the Opposites, and Extremes of Life right here. And then I have I'm Sorry, Defenselessness, Writing Past Wrongs, and Uprooting. Okay. This is the same card that Pisces got, so that's really interesting. And I love how it says uprooting, because Cancer is like associated with the home and with family and roots and stuff like that. So I feel like February is kind of a time of uprooting for you. And it might feel, I don't want to say necessarily tumultuous, but I feel that February is going to be full of ups and downs. Not to say that it's a good or bad thing, but I'm just saying I feel that it's going to be inconsistent. I don't think it's going to be like a steady thing. I feel like, there's going to be some dips along the way, which is completely okay. And I feel that throughout the month, Cancer, if and when you end up experiencing these ups and downs, these ebb and flows, be mindful of not taking this a personal attack, or thinking that the world is going to end, or thinking that your life is never going to be happy, or that you can't be happy, or that the universe is trying to punish you for something, because I promise you it's not. It's simply a way of life. In life we all have our ups and downs. We all have our issues that we experience, that we go through certain lessons to learn, that sort of thing. Sometimes we need a little bit of friction, tension, a little bit of ebb and flow in order to go along with the change. And I feel that with you, Cancer, Fall Into My Arms talks to me a lot about surrendering to the things that happen. This doesn't mean being complacent or just letting everything happen. And if you have the power to do something or say something, then absolutely do it. But if there are things that are just simply inevitable, that are completely outside of your control, I feel like this is saying to simply surrender to the universe, to surrender to your ancestors or to your spirit guides, whatever you devote yourself to. And to trust that everything will be okay at the end of the day, and take it as a learning lesson rather than as some form of like karmic punishment or something, because I promise you it's probably not. And I feel that there might be times where you reach extremes, like extreme decisions or extreme perspectives, and I feel like this month is definitely kind of like a time that you need to learn moderation and learn how to not see things so completely black and white, if that kind of makes sense, because everything has a gray area. Not everything is just so completely black and white. So I feel that this month is kind of a time of like you going back and forth, you reaching different extremes, and then by the end of the month learning how to find moderation in that and find a middle ground and that sort of thing. So for me, this kind of reads as, on one end, trying to be in extreme control of everything, kind of being a dictator about things, and then on the other end, feeling sorry for yourself, being a martyr, feeling like a victim, letting life just kind of happen to you, that sort of thing, and learning how to meet in the middle, which to me is kind of like about surrender and having trust in the universe, but also doing things that are in your control, but also not trying to force anything to happen. And then we have I'm Sorry, Defenselessness, Writing Past Wrongs, and Uprooting. So I got this card as well for Pisces the other day, and this to me talks about not only having to apologize to other people if you need to, but learning how to disengage from your ego, learning how to look at things objectively, which I know isn't necessarily the easiest thing for water signs, especially Cancers, because we are so subjective. We are so, we're ruled by the moon. We're so changeable, and we are, our mood swings, bitch. But I feel like this is really saying how we need to step aside from our own egos, from our own emotions, or from this like whole idea that like we're the victim, because we can definitely pull that card where we try to play victim or try to blame someone else for some sort of situation where they may not have been at fault, or where we also played a role in the situation. You know, we are not entirely blameless. So that's just something. I feel like there might need to be some sort of reconciling within the family or through like old friendships or anything like that. And with the description of defenselessness, I feel like this is the time to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and to kind of humble ourselves throughout the month of February and kind of get off any sort of moral high horse that we've been on recently, if that's something that resonates with you. And I just feel like this is kind of an overall time for change. And I also feel like it's definitely a time to right any sort of wrong that maybe we have personally done, or right the wrongs of like our ancestors, for example, or like kind of just like learning how to, not learning, but taking the time to untie or unwind certain patterns, I guess you could say, so that they don't end up being repeated, if that kind of makes sense. So that's really what I have for you in terms of the oracle. Let's just go ahead and see what we have for you in the tarot. Okay, what's in store for Cancers? What's in store for Cancers February 2020? What's in store for Cancers February 2020? What's in store for Cancers February 2020? So we have the Tower. We have the Knight of Wands, Chariot reversed, Death, Four of Swords, and the Knight of Cups. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Eight of Swords reversed, and then under that is the Seven of Wands reversed. All right, so it does seem as though there are a lot of changes coming your way in February 2020, and I don't mean to like scare you. I hope these cards don't scare you, because I promise it's not as like fatalistic as it looks. So the Tower, this to me talks about like extreme changes, and it talks about the extremes of life, you know, going back and forth on that pendulum, so to speak. And kind of just seeing both sides, you know, the black and white of everything. And I feel like February is kind of a time for certain foundations to fall apart because they are outdated and they don't help you anymore. I feel like it's time for some sort of change to take place, for almost like a demolition, if I guess you could say, but I feel like that's kind of an extreme term and I don't want people to get scared by that word. But yeah, the Tower seems to me like a lot of change, a lot of purging, especially with this Death card, Death and Rebirth. So it feels like you are on your way towards a new chapter in your life, Cancer, which is really beautiful. And I really feel like you are called to be a lot more independent and to celebrate your own life and to really find your own sense of self, to become a lot more independent and just like more free. Like I get Sagittarian energy. Whenever I see the Knight of Wands, I get like this sense of like Sagittarius sort of energy. So I feel like it's just really time for you to kind of push yourself outside of your own box, to dance by the beat of your own drum. Is that how it goes? To walk by the beat of your own drum? I don't know. What the fuck that goes? However way that phrase goes is what I really encourage you to do. But I just feel with this Chariot reversed, your card reversed, it feels like you don't want that, because I don't think you see how good it is for you right now. And a lot of us really don't. You know, whenever there's a lot of change going on, we're not focusing on what that could bring for us. We're not focusing on how much good this could bring into our lives. We're focusing on how our sense of, the thing that we're holding on to that's very familiar to us is kind of like being quote unquote stripped away. It's changing and it's morphing and it's falling apart right in front of our eyes, which can be really discouraging for a Cancer who, you know, they like their familiarity. They like their comfortability. They like to be safe. They like to be comfortable in their own little shell. I get it. And with the Chariot reversed, it feels like you might want to run away from that or try to go back to the old ways of being. And I just feel like that just isn't the time for you anymore. Whether this is in terms of a relationship or a job or something about school or personal life, social life, whatever this is, it just feels like this is not a time to be regressing. This is not a time to be running away. This is not a time to be retreating. This is a time to be moving forward for you, Cancer. And I know that might not necessarily be the easiest thing to hear, but I feel like this is kind of a reality check. We know we can't always be under this illusion that we can stay here forever. You know, we outgrow our shells, right? Crabs do this all the time. They outgrow their shells. I'm pretty sure I saw a video of a crab like leaving its shell and shit. It was fucking weird. But crabs, they change their shells all the time. Like, we find new homes. We carry our home on our back. So, and we can change it whenever we need to. We can change it whenever we have outgrown it. And it feels like we have outgrown our shell. And that's completely okay. We just need to find a new one. You know, we don't have to stay in this old one. Because what happens when we do? We outgrow it. It gets to the point that, you know, we stay so long that we are literally rejected by that shell. Because we don't fit anymore. It doesn't work. And so I just feel like for you, Cancer, that's definitely kind of a wake-up call. And I feel like it's a time of liberation, of freeing yourself, of no longer being complacent and thinking that you're a victim and thinking that you have absolutely no choice in the way that life happens, because you do. We have the Eight of Swords reversed. This is liberation. This is independence. This is freedom. This is taking initiative and having a choice, making a choice. And the Seven of Wands reversed tells me that you don't want to do that. You want to run away. You feel attacked. You feel like the world is against you. You feel incredibly defensive. You feel like people are trying to put you down. You think that people are haters, and maybe there's some that are haters. But for the most part, it just feels like these people are trying to push you in the direction that you're going. You're like, no, I don't want to fucking do it. And it's like, yo, listen to your intuition. And intuitively, you will know that this is the path that you need to be following. But of course, our ego wants to keep us in a stagnant sort of place, right? And so that's kind of what it really seems to me, Cancer. And I have the Knight of Cups here, so it could be that in February maybe you end up meeting someone. But I don't know, I just get a weird vibe with this Knight of Cups and with the Chariot reversed right on top of it. It just feels like regression. It feels like there might be someone from the past who is trying to come back, but I don't necessarily feel like this person has the best of intentions. And I feel that this isn't someone that you need to be going back to. I feel like whatever has happened with them, you know, has happened, and you don't have to repeat history. And I feel like you need to kind of give yourself a break from this person or the situation. And I have the Four of Swords, which talks about disconnecting from everything, disengaging. You need to disengage. You need to rest. You need to meditate. You need to cut yourself some slack. And you need to rejuvenate your mind. You need to be like... I think of like a robot, like being charged up again. But that's really what it feels like for you, Cancer. It's like oh shit, bitch. My God. But it just feels like you need to get out of your shell. Because you've outgrown the one that you're in right now. There's a change and transformation that you need to go through, and you might not accept it at this time, and you might feel like, oh my God, like my world is ending. Sure, there might be a world ending, but it doesn't mean that it's the only world that you're going to be living. I mean, look back at all the worlds that you have lived in the past. You know, we all live in different forms of reality, right? But we create new ones all the time. So who's to say that you won't create a new reality? So let's see. Who do I want to clarify? Do I want to clarify at all? I don't know. Ooh, Two of Swords reversed. This is denial, not wanting to face the truth, not wanting to go through with anything. Four of Pentacles reversed is, Four of Pentacles reversed is you clinging on to a false sense of security, you kind of like hoarding things, you not wanting to let go, you being stuck in the past, not being generous, just holding everything very close to your chest and not wanting to admit that you have to let go of them. And we have the Magician reversed, which talks to be like, which tells me that you literally have all of the abilities, skills, and resources. I have a hair. You have all the abilities, skills, and resources in order to do whatever it is that you need to do to manifest a better life, to manifest a better reality, whatever it is. But your energy is just incredibly distracted. You are not focused. Chariot reversed. You are focusing on all of the wrong things. You could be listening to all of the wrong people, right? You are listening to the wrong people, maybe. People who might not have your best interest at heart. People who are telling you, oh, don't worry, like, you don't have to change anything. You can just continue doing what you're doing. Well, if they're saying that, they're probably not thinking in your best interest. And with the Magician reverse, this is telling me how you're just hella distracted. And you need to get back in focus. And with the Magician reverse, this to me is saying how you don't believe in yourself. You don't see the potential within you. And that ends up manifesting all of the wrong things in your life. And then, of course, it's going to make you feel like your world is ending. That's just it, darling. So, overall, all right, so I just think overall for you, Cancer, it's a time to accept the changes that are coming your way, no matter how, frustrating it might be for you, or how familiar that place or thing might be, or that person might be for you. The Tower says that there is inevitable change coming your way, right? There is inevitable change. You can't, sometimes it's just something that we can't help. And we can run away from it, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be there. And it doesn't mean that there's just going to be absolutely no change. No, we need change to continue living. We need change to grow as people. We need change to progress, to look at things differently, to gain new perspectives, to gain new knowledge, that sort of thing. All right? So I hope this resonates for you, Cancer. Let me know if it does. I would love to hear your feedback in the comments down below. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. Share with your friends, family, loved ones, or anyone who needs to hear this. Subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that. Hit the bell notification to know when I upload my videos. And if you want to book a personal reading with me, you can do so at sinfulpluto.com. And if you want to find me on social media, you can do so at Sinfulpluto on Twitter and Instagram. All right. Bye. Love you.